Hi, it's Titi here for My Sacred Blood. Welcome and welcome back to the only channel on YouTube that focuses exclusively on truly holistic menstrual care. If you haven't already done it, please do go ahead and subscribe. And if you're already on the website and you're watching this from the blog, go ahead and join the mailing list by filling out the form below. This week was supposed to be all about blood rituals and sacrifices inspired by menstruation. But because of the seriousness of the topic, I'm going to need a little bit more time finding the facts, getting my sources together, and I'm going to need to use a little bit more finesse in how I present that information. So for this week, I'm going to give you this filler video. Like, it's going to be filled with substance. And the first substance is, of course, hormones, particularly estrogen and progesterone. And the second substance is going to be confidence and self-esteem, and how hormones affects confidence and self-esteem. This was the topic of last month's group coaching session, or the digital session, which you can find on the website. It is available for download. Estrogen is, of course, a sex hormone, and as much as we know about estrogen, it still is quite a mystery, and we don't know exactly how it affects the female body. What we do know about estrogen is that it affects moods. In particular, it releases endorphins and affects serotonin levels, so those feel-good hormones. So when you have an increase in estrogen, when there's a lot of estrogen, then you're more than likely going to be in a great mood. Your moods are going to be higher. Progesterone, on the other hand, is a steroid, and so this is what helps to keep the body, or to keep you and your emotions in check and in control. So the key to maintaining confidence and self-esteem throughout your entire cycle is understanding how these hormones work, understanding the phases where they rise and fall, and also understanding how you can use them to your advantage rather than denying them altogether. A lot of us like to say, we're not hormonal. When we hear that, you're hormonal, or if anyone uses it as an insult, then we feel insulted. We kind of feel like we want to get on the defense. But it's nothing to get on the defense about, because of course hormones are natural, they're absolutely necessary, and they're just chemical messages from the brain transmitted throughout the rest of the body that tells the body what to do. And without these chemo messages, without this communication going on between the brain and the glands, then of course nothing else can happen. You can't live without hormones. So yes, we are absolutely hormonal, but there is a way, as I said, to use it to your advantage if you don't deny it. So the first thing to do is don't deny that you're hormonal. Accept it, embrace it, and eventually you can learn how to actually master it. So the main difference between confidence and self-esteem is that confidence comes a little bit more naturally. It flows a little bit more naturally if you allow it to do so. A lot of us, we tend to want to hide who we really are, and we hold back a little bit. I do it a lot too, especially when I'm on camera. But if we just let it flow and we just allow ourselves to be who we are and let our hormones do what it does and kind of let the hormones lead the way, then confidence will come very naturally, especially during that time of the month when estrogen is on the rise. Self-esteem, on the other hand, doesn't come as naturally. Self-esteem is kind of an evaluation of your confidence, or an evaluation of your value or self-worth. And so self-esteem is something that you have to consciously put effort into and work on that when estrogens are low, or when you get to that time of the month, especially when progesterone is low and you seem a little bit out of control. And so this is going to be more about the self-esteem and how to balance out your hormones and how to balance out your moods at the point in your cycle where your hormones are not as balanced or not as high. So estrogen will usually begin to decrease just around the time when ovulation begins. But around that time, progesterone also increases, which keeps you in control. So there's kind of a good balance there. But during the luteal phase, then you'll find that progesterone and estrogen begins to decrease, which puts you in a place where you feel a little bit out of control. And this is where most women would experience PMS. And so during that time, this is where you have to make a conscious effort to find that balance or to increase those feel-good hormones. So you'll have to find other ways to release those endorphins and the serotonin. So around this time is a good time for you to remind yourself of the things that you love about yourself, and then do the things like get a little bit more creative and do the things that are going to put you in a better mood. So to help with balancing confidence and self-esteem throughout your entire cycle, I developed the Be Rich method for building true confidence and self-esteem. This method is going to depend on your understanding of your cycle. So you'll want to begin by tracking your period. As humans, we are chemical beings. We're ruled by hormones. Our moods and our level of energy will rise and fall according to the amount of a particular hormone. In the case of periods, of course, and the reproductive cycle in general, the dominant hormones are estrogen and progesterone. So I would suggest marking the dates on a calendar as a way of tracking your period, or you can make a simple note of each day of your cycle in your diary. You can use a tracker app. I would not recommend that for privacy reasons, but I would highly recommend using the My Sacred Blood Lunar Planner Workbook. Next, you'll want to evaluate your self-esteem. When estrogens are high, you'll naturally become more confident. You'll want to socialize more, flirt more, and you'll want to make love, or you'll just want to be more creative. Once estrogen starts to fall, you'll want to consciously evaluate your sense of self-worth. Esteem depends on moods, and moods are, of course, ruled by hormones, especially estrogens and progestogens. The rise and fall of self-esteem is a force of nature. There's nothing you can do about it. It ebbs and flows, and it'll come and go. Sometimes you'll feel up, sometimes you'll feel down. The idea is to be able to master it and to keep a balance. So expect 2 weeks of confidence and 2 weeks of self-work. So there's going to be a part of the month where you're going to feel naturally confident, as I mentioned before, and then there's going to be a part of the month where you're going to have to actively work on reminding yourself of your self-worth, because it is just hormones. You're not feeling crappy because of anything that you did wrong. It is just a natural force of nature. So you'll want to elaborate a plan in order to keep balanced and then execute it consistently. And again, for the complete digital presentation, just go to the website at mysacredblood.com/shop. Live group sessions are held every first Sunday of the month, and that's 4 p.m. And again, if you can't make the session, if you miss a session, they are always going to be available for download in digital form. Again, that's just the presentation. It doesn't include the live discussion. I do hope that helps. And remember, you can find me on YouTube every moon day at noon, and that's Eastern time. Until the next one, take care of yourself.